Hello and welcome to Strings Lesson 5 of Data Science Python series. We are waiting for a few people to join. We will start in 5 minutes. Today's lesson is going to be very interesting. We are going to cover a lot of concepts regarding Python's built-in string functions and built-in string methods. And then it will be followed by some hands-on problems. After that, we are going to see the tips and tricks by the master. Say hi in the comment section if you have joined now. Okay guys, let's get started with strings lesson 5 of our Python tutorial series. So in this lesson we are going to learn about Python's built-in string functions, length, str, char, odd, and Python's built-in string methods, join, split, upper, lower, title, strip, rstrip, lstrip, count, find, and then we'll solve 5 problems and then the tips and tricks by the master, followed by take home assignment. So let's begin with the first function, built-in functions, len. So len function can be used to find the length of the string, which means the number of characters in a string. So let's just run that. Length of a string, let's pass a string, yo, hey, hi. So it says 11 characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11. So just find the length of a string using the length function. It's a Python inbuilt function. Now string, this is an important function. String, get the string representation of a Python object. So what's a string representation of a list? So ls1, let's say 1, 2, 3. Now to get the string representation, you do ls. So basically what string representation means, how it appears when you print it, right? So let's go for a dictionary. So str of a dictionary key is a, yo. You see it has printed the dictionary. Same for tuple, str of a tuple 1, 2, 3, let's say. So this is a string representation of a tuple. Now set. One, two, three. So string representation of a set. Now you might have noticed this, but this is because the property of a set, you can't have repeated values in a set. Right? Now what about a custom object? Let's say I define a custom class, animal class, right? Don't worry about the class syntax, I will explain it in the class lesson, but think that custom data types can be created in Python. So you are not just limited to list, dictionary, tuple, set. You can create custom data types, right? Let's say I create an animal type and it has a single attribute name, right? So let's create an animal. Dog equals to animal doggy, and if I do a string on that, it shows me animal object in the main 5, right? So it shows me this. Can I get a better string notation of this, better string representation of this? Yes, I can. I can modify or override the Python's default string function in this class using this syntax. And let's say the name also takes the sound of that animal. So self dot sound equals to sound. Let's understand I'm defining a custom data type, right? And a string, I'm overriding the string method, right, of Python's default string method. Now print or return self dot sound. Okay. Now what I have done is I have modified the string function for this class, and now it will print the sound when I run the string function. So previously it was printing this, now it will print the sound. So let's define this doggy with the sound as bho, bho. And we have defined a dog. Now let's do a string of dog. You see bho bho. You can actually modify the default string function and make it anything, do anything, right? I just want to print bho bho, so I got the self dot sound. You can even take the name. Let's say self dot name. Can print the name also. So for the custom objects that you design, it's totally up to you how you want the string method to behave, right? And you have total freedom to modify the string method as per your requirement. I hope you understand this. Any doubts, any questions, you can ask in the comment section. So we have seen string methods for Python default objects as well as any custom object that you can create. Now the char method, Unicode character of a number. So inside a computer, everything is in numbers, right? So even though we type ABCD, it is internally represented as numbers. So Unicode does the mapping for you. And let's say we want to find which is the character at number 65. So it is this one. Which is the character at number 15,000? It is this Chinese character. So all the characters or most of the characters of human languages have been compassed inside the Unicode mapping. So Unicode is just like a mapping. And you might have heard of ASCII mapping. So ASCII is also another mapping. But after Python 3.4, character function uses the Unicode mapping, because the ASCII mapping is limited to less number of characters. Unicode encompasses a large number of characters. That's why after Python 3.4, char function has been using Unicode as a mapping. Now odd just reverses the functionality of char. So in char you provide a number, you get the character. In odd you provide a character, you get the number. Simple example, odd z is 90. So in the Unicode mapping, z is at number 90. I hope you have understood this. Any doubts, any questions, you can ask in the comment section. So far we have learnt about string methods, string functions, which are inbuilt in Python. And we also learnt about how you can create a custom object and define the string function separately for that object and do it as per your wish. So now let's understand the Python built-in string methods. So you might have seen we have written functions here and we have written strings here. Methods here. So what's the difference? So methods belong to an object or to a class, right? Methods belong to a class, whereas functions are universal. You don't need a object to call this string function, right? But you need an object to call this join function, split function, upper function. So methods belong to a particular class where functions can be without a class. So let's see the join method. It is one of the most important methods in a string, join method. So it basically joins elements of an iterable, right? What's an iterable? Let's say a list is an iterable. So let's define ls equals to a who ha he he. So this is an iterable. It's a list with elements. Now you want to join the elements of this list. What do? You call the join function. I want to join them with a space. So space string dot join. You are invoking the join method of the string and then pass the list. So you see it has joined them by a space, and you can join them with a different character also. So let's join them with @ or hash dot join ls. So it has joined them with a hash, right? So what if the elements of the list are not a string? Let's see that case. What happens if the elements of the iterable are not a string? So let's say a list, and the elements are, first element is a string, second is number, third is a string. So let's see if we pass this to a join method, what happens? Dot join ls. So it raises a type error. Sequence item 1 expected string found int. So for the join method, you have to have all the elements of the list as strings, otherwise it will raise a type error. So this is a note for you. Join method takes in an iterable with all elements as strings. So to keep this point in mind, you are going to do this mistake very often, I know. So join method takes an iterable with all elements as a string. So when all elements were a string, it worked fine. But when one element was number, it didn't work fine, right? It raised type error. So keep in mind, join method takes an iterable with all the elements as a string. Let's move on. So I hope you have understood the join method. It's one of the most important methods. Let's move to a split. So in this join method, we have converted a list into a string. What if you want to convert a string into a list? So this is a string. Let's define a string s equals to I am helping people master Python. So this is a string. I want to convert this into a list. So s dot split, I call a split method on that, and it returns me a list of these words. So how a split method works? It works using separator. So by default, a separator is a space. So it will keep splitting until as long as it finds space, right? So you can see it has splitted every space and created a different list element, right? Now, what if I want to split with a different character? Let's say my string has hashes. So s equals to I hash love hash Python, right? I want to split this with hash character. So s dot split, you pass the hash character inside. So it splits with that character, right? You can define which character the split method uses to split the string and give you a list. Now moving on to very simple methods, but yeah, they are used often. Upper. If I want to convert a string, let's say string is, and you have all sorts of characters, upper, lower. I want to convert all of them into upper. So I would do s dot upper, and it would convert everything to upper, right? Similarly, lower, it would convert everything to lower. So I have a string, let's say upper, lower, everything. and I want to convert everything to lower. S dot lower equals to this. So it has converted everything to lower. So lower function is commonly used in data science. So when dealing with string problems, because you want to have tokens and each token will be a different token if the case is different. So what the approach is followed is you convert everything to a small string, then tokenize it, right? So right now it might not be making sense to you, but when we go in deep in data science, it will make perfect sense to lower the string. And similarly, you can title. So title capitalizes each word's first letter and makes other small. So you can see here S is capital, I is small. Let's run the title method on this. You see Ank is awesome. So it capitalizes the first letter and makes other as small, right? So these are some cosmetic methods. There are tons of such methods. I am just sharing the important methods that are mostly used on a day-to-day basis. So let's do a strip. So a strip function is very important, guys. The strip is one of the most important function, just like so a strip is one of the most important function, just like a split, join, right? So let's try to understand the strip function. So let's say a string can have pollution. What do I mean by pollution? It can have unwanted characters in the beginning and unwanted space in the end, right? And I don't want to have these characters in my string. What do? I strip. So s dot strip, I call a strip method. I want to strip dollar, I want to strip percentage, I want to strip space, and I want to strip and. So you can see we have removed all the pollution from that string. We have removed all the unnecessary characters using the strip method. I hope this is clear. You can ask your questions or doubts in the comment section. So strip, right? What if so as you have seen in this case, it has a strip from both ends, right end as well as left end. What if I want to strip only from one end? So for that you have dedicated methods R strip and L strip. So let's say a string s equals to I am good, how are you? And I want to strip the question mark and spaces. So what do? S dot, and let's say I have something here which I don't want to strip, like question mark, space here also, but I want to strip only the right hand. So I do R strip and I provide a question mark and a space. So it strips everything from the right hand as we expected. Similarly, if you want to strip from the left end, you can do and right hand, let's fill some words, numbers and ands and question marks. So I want to strip from the left end. So s dot L strip and I provide the question mark. It has removed everything from the left. I hope these methods are clear to you. Let's move on to counting. So I want to count a particular substring from a given string. So let's say this is a string. I want to count all the O's in that. So I run the count method string.count and pass the character which I want to count. It gives me 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 O's. Now counting only a character and counting a substring. Counting a substring. So it need not be a single character. You can count a substring also. So let's say I want to count mangoes, right? So let's just copy this. I want to count how many times mango appears in this string. So it says 2 times mango, mango, mango. I want to see how many times man appears in this list. 3 times. Mango ka man, man, and mango's man. Okay. So you can also count a substring in a string as well as a character in that string. Now you want to find a substring in a string. So it returns you the index of the first occurrence of that. Returns index of the first occurrence of a substring. So let's say a string is you love Python, you love data science, right? Data science. Now I want to find the first occurrence of data science in this. So s.find passes of a string data science. It tells me T, the data science first occurrence starts from index 27. So if you count it, you will find it. Let's say for simple, let's try to find the first occurrence of love. S.find love. So you see 0, 1, 2, 3 and fourth index is L. So it has returned you the first index of the occurrence of that substring. I hope the find method is clear to you. Any doubts, any questions? Comment box is yours. So it's time to solve 5 problems. We are on the first problem, convert the string into lowercase. Let's try to solve this problem. So I want to convert this into lowercase. I will run the lower method on this. So cat.lower. This is the lowercase string. I want to create a string from this list. So I just use the join method dot join ls, and let's define ls. So I want to convert this list into a string. I would use the join method like this. And I want to create a list of words given a string. Basically, I want to split the string into a list. So split method, you get the list of a string. Now I want to clean a string of spaces from both end and dollars and dots. So I would do the strip method, and using the dollar, space and the dot, I would remove everything. So you can see this is the cleaned string now. And I want to count double O's in a given string. s.count OO. It has written 3 occurrences, 1, 2 and 3. Now the tips and tricks by the master. So multiply a string by a negative number. So far we have seen when you multiply a string by a positive number, let's say hero multiplied by 3, you see a repetition of hero, right? Hero, hero, hero. What if you multiply hero by a negative number? Try that, it's interesting. Let's multiply it by -3. So it returns an empty string because you cannot negatively multiply, right? In case of a string, you keep on reducing it, it becomes empty string. That's why if you multiply a string by a negative string or 0, it becomes an empty string. So let's say hero multiplied by empty string, which is 0. So let's say hero multiplied by 0 is empty string. Right? Because when you are multiplying a positive number, you are creating multiple instances. You are increasing the instances. But how far can you reduce a instance? You can just go till the empty string, right? So strings are mutable or immutable. So as we know, strings are immutable. You cannot mutate a string. But what if I do this string ABC, let's say this one, plus character A. So you see it has added a character at the end of the string. So do we say string has been modified? Or what about the string immutability? We see that A has been successfully added. But we learned that strings are immutable. So what is this magic? Strings are still mutable. What is happening is when you concatenate 2 strings, it creates a new string. So this is a point to keep in mind. When you concatenate 2 strings, a new string is created. Keep this in mind. Strings are still immutable. Strings cannot be changed. It's just that you are adding two strings. That's why a new string is created. Now the take home assignment for you is split a string by @ and join a string by @. So in this session we covered Python strings inbuilt functions like len, str, char, odd. We also learnt about the important string methods like join, split, upper, lower, title, strip, rstrip, lstrip, count, find, and then we solved some problems. Then we understood the tips and tricks by the master. Pretty interesting tips, right? Yes. So that's all for this session, guys. Thanks for joining. All the best. You can ask your doubts in the comment section. So that's all. So that's all for this session, guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button if you have learned something from this. And if you have any doubts or any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. Thank you for joining. Bye bye for now.